Planning and Development Authority of Grenada, PDA, is enforcing regulations to curb illegal, disorderly, and unauthorized development in several locations throughout the state of Grenada. The authority is concerned that structures mainly associated with vending are negatively impacting the environment, has undesirable public health and sanitation consequences, present obstructions to vehicle and pedestrian traffic, can become projectiles during adverse weather conditions, and generally affect the aesthetics of the nation. The PDA will work along with stakeholder ministries and institutions to effect the demolition, removal, and disposal of structures which fall in the category of illegal and disorderly development, commencing January 2024. In this regard, persons who vend in or occupy such illegal structures are advised to secure their personal belongings and have the structures removed ahead of the planned PDA demolition operations. These actions of the PDA have become necessary to safeguard and protect public health and the environment, ensure the safety and well-being of all citizens and visitors, discourage any future disorderly construction, and encourage compliance to regulations pertaining to physical development in the state of Grenada. This is a message from the Planning and Development Authority of Grenada.
Yeah. Welcome to Ridealong Live for today. It is Tuesday on the ride. As you come and go ahead and share up the thing, guys. Very important conversation, very important day. Let me tell you, right now my headphones are pissing me off. So anybody could sponsor me some new earphones, because my earphones that I use religiously started to act up right before the program. So I had to switch to this other headphone that keeps falling off my ear. So earphones for Christmas, okay? All right, guys, welcome. This program is brought to you with the kind compliments of Riders. Don't forget, Riders, if you're looking for e-bike rental, you got to check out Riders inside the Esplanade Mall. And listen, guys, this is really great. I got to thank everyone who's been patronizing Till Tours. I didn't even see Jerry come in and ride a bike yet, but we're going to talk about that. But let me tell you guys, it's doing really well, and we're inviting you and encouraging you guys to support Riders Excursion Rentals and Tours. The best way to get around town is on Riders. Guys, also inside the kiosks, we have some new merchandise, some brand new merchandise. These are all Riders brand. Let me get it focused. It's all Ride brands. These are visors, right? It is visors. See, but it's kind of different kind of visors. This is really nice visors, Grenada visors. And it's all Riders brand. You could get this inside of the kiosks at the Esplanade Mall. This is well, it's not only a collector's item, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful. I think even men could wear this. Yeah, even men could wear this. It's all Riders brand. Get this, I think from Thursday, it's going to be inside the mall. You can check it out, all right? Or you could order online as well. It's all Riders stuff. Riders. Yeah. All right, guys. So a humble Tash, you can't ride? Sad. So sad. So sad. All right, guys. So listen, I have only 30 minutes with my next guest, so we're gonna make it work. All right. He is a defense attorney extraordinaire. He is, this guy, Mr. Jerry Edwin, really needs no introduction. Always working, always busy, as you could well see right now. Mr. Edwin, how you doing, my friend?
Brother Junior, I am living and sinning, brother.
You ain't changing at all. No. Jerry, I didn't even see you on the ride. You set up my business and everything. You sort out the thing and make sure everything is in compliance. And I didn't even see you. You didn't even come and rent a bike.
You're rookie. All you need to see is the road ahead, and you could drive. You're a good driver.
All right. Okay, Mr. Edwin. All right, Mr. Edwin. Okay. So, Jerry, a few reasons why I wanted to chat with you on the program here today. You are a defense attorney, meaning that you've been to court a whole lot. You've seen a lot of these procedures. You've seen a lot of policies. You've seen a lot of things. You defend criminals. That's basically what you do. You get criminals off. You get them back on the street. Am I classifying it right?
Of course not. We ensure that justice is served, that constitutional rights are upheld,
Right.
and that the procedure to which citizens are subjected are in line with our Constitution and with the rule of law. That's what we ensure. And paramount to all of us, both the prosecutor and persons in my position here, is of course public safety for all our citizens. That
Okay.
remains uppermost in our minds.
Okay, all right. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot I want to talk about, Jerry. But first one I want to touch on is this particular case involving Mr. Date, which is your client. This is a picture of the young man on the screen. In a shocking turn of event at the Grenville Magistrate Court, a suspect managed to escape from police custody. That's your client. Mr. Date was arrested and charged for the death of a Canadian citizen that came into Grenada. So you were defending that young man, during which the process of charging, he escaped. And he's now a fugitive at law, still yet to be found. What could you tell us about that particular case, Jerry? And how is it that your client were able to escape lawful custody?
Well, I can't tell you how he was able to escape. I certainly would not be aware of that. In fact, I put a call out for the young man to turn himself in as soon as possible, and we would ensure his safe passage back into the jurisdiction of the police as law enforcement or the Richmond Hill prison. You could understand that public safety remains paramount in the mind of police. Whenever someone escapes custody, they are perceived to be a threat to public safety, and all available means would be at the disposal of the police to bring that person back into custody. We are, of course, concerned that the young man is entitled to due process of law, and we'd like to see him get his day in court. I would agree that procedures, as they are followed by the police, they could be porous. Even in places, very high security prisons. Just last year in the United Kingdom, we saw an inmate skillfully make his way up a clean wall and escape for days. We saw in Pennsylvania, in a massive security prison, someone was able to escape. So it's not new that persons who are in custody have the time to think about escaping and planning to escape, but I'm sure that they never confide in anyone, least of all their lawyers. Because if the lawyer knows that the client is going to do this, there's an obligation on every lawyer to prevent wrongdoing. And certainly something like this would fit the bill. And this is the last thing we would want for our client to be a fugitive from law. But Mr. Date was charged with capital murder in causing the death of a young man named Wayne Smart.
Yes.
Wayne had come from Canada, and
yes.
he was in Grenada, and it is alleged that it was Mr. Date who murdered him. Mr. Date has, and I intend to, and I could say this because it's Mr. Date's position, and he claimed that he was beaten to force a confession from him. And that is how he was able to say the things that he did say, because the police had corroborating evidence as to the death of Wayne Smart. And Levon Date simply corroborated what the police already knew, and he said that these statements that were attributed to him were coerced from him. So that is his position, and we lawyers are creatures of instruction as well. So I would take his instruction, and I hope he gets back into custody so that he can have his day in court, and then we can have a judicial officer decide on the veracity of the statements and what his position is.
Right. So let's get that straight, Mr. Edwin. You're saying that your client, Mr. Date, initially confessed to the killing of the young man, right, in police custody?
Correct.
Right. And in his defense, you saying that that evidence was beaten out of him to confess.
It's not evidence yet. That statement, those statements that he made, he said were coerced, forced from him. It is not the first time, and all of us as part of our experience as adults, would know that some police officers do use extrajudicial means to force suspects to make statements. That's actually as bad as it is, as wrong and illegal as it is not unusual.
Right. Didn't Mr.
And the courts, as a result of it being something that is not unusual, the courts have a methodology to test whether or not what the inmate said or what the accused person says is correct. And I was looking forward, I still am looking forward to test the statements which Mr. Date allegedly made to determine whether they were voluntary. Because that's the test of a confession.
Right.
In New York law, New Jersey law, Grenada law, UK law, Canadian law, was the confession voluntary? Mr. Date says it was not.
Right.
If in fact that is proven to be the case, then it's not the end of the matter, obviously. It means that the case can proceed without the statement.
Right. But didn't Mr. Date also lead police to the body of the now deceased young man?
I am not aware of that. I'm not aware that he did. I've heard news reports. I've heard the reports. My client is saying he did not. That the police took him to the place where the body of Wayne Smart was found. That's what my instructions are.
Right.
Cases are not tried in the media.
No, I understand. Well, we as the media or the court of public opinion, when we look at things, we look at inconsistencies, and I'm sure you might see inconsistencies in stories as well. So the police took Mr. Date to the body of the deceased. So the police knew or were aware where that body was located. That's your client's position.
Well, let's deal. Yes, my client is saying that the police took him to the place where the body was located.
Right. Which would mean that the police would have prior knowledge of that body before they even arrested Mr. Date.
I think reasonable minds are free to draw conclusions. I'm not going to say anything. I think the rest of the commentary as to the location of the body, how it was found, and so on, we'll argue that before the judicial officer. I'm simply telling you what my client's position is.
Right.
The argument.
Right.
No, and that's argument. Argument is a good thing because that's what we do in court.
Right.
I don't mean it in a cantankerous or disagreeable way, but the arguments that would be put forward are better suited for the courthouse.
Right.
I will just tell you what my instructions are.
Okay, no problem. I understand your instructions. I'm just following instructions as well from just my basic non-legal perspective, right? The
Sure.
police
It
officer,
will be. I tell you, I was really looking forward to this case because it's a pity. I hope, and again, Mr. Date, if you are looking at the television and you're looking at Ride Along and you can hear our voices, you can hear Mr. George's voice and my own. I really am urging you to contact me. You have all my numbers. Please trust that I will not violate your privilege, our privilege, and my ultimate concern is your safety because the police have their orders. And I would, if you are hearing us, please contact me so that we could get you into a safe place.
the ultimate concern is his safety or the safety of the public, because they consider him armed and dangerous, which is he might be somewhere right now that, I mean, he escaped. But, again, you are a defense attorney. I am not. And I've often told you that I could never be a defense attorney. I could never sit in your seat, Mr. Edwin.
You'd be surprised at what you can do. You'd be surprised at what you could do.
I can't do it, Jerry. I cannot do it. Because let me tell you why. Let me tell you why, Mr. Edwin. If these inconsistencies are so prevalent, it would be hard for me to defend. One, if the police officer knew of the body or where the body was located, why would they need to Mr. Date to take them to the body? They would have just gone there, dug up the body, and find the body. So these are inconsistencies that I'm seeing as glaring as that light in my face.
Okay.
That's all you can say. Secondly, Mr.
That's all I'll say.
Okay,
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
Secondly, Mr. Edwin, your client escaped lawful custody. Now, if he's innocent of this, and so innocent of this, Mr. Edwin, and he confessed, well, he gave you his version of the whole situation, why did he flee lawful custody? Why was it necessary for him to flee lawful custody? If the evidence was so insurmountable, he was so big, he was so present, why did he have to escape lawful custody, knowing that the evidence is on his side?
I got a Juris Doctorate, not a PhD in psychology, so I can't.
Jerry, you are the lawyer. You are the lawyer. You are not, I'm not the judge. You are the lawyer. You are the one who spoke to that client. You are the one, he gave you the statement. You represented him. You stand in front of the court and you have to defend this. You have to defend this.
Yeah. I would say that I would like to invite the public to come to the courthouse on Young Street, the High Court, and be part of these legal proceedings. And there's a lot to learn. There will be a lot to know. These proceedings are open to the public, and one will be able to see the considerable distance between what is said in public, especially on the media, and the evidence that is canvassed in the court. It's incredible. It's a wide ocean from what we say here and the evidence in the court.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. And I also
I do understand.
I also know that there are information that you cannot share with us, privileged information, you cannot share with us on the media. And it may look as if you're being apprehensive to my line of questioning, but I know there are things that you just cannot say. And I understand that. And it might look kind of suspect. It might look as if you're defending a criminal to get back out on the street to commit another crime and possibly endanger the lives of innocent civilians. But
let's be clear about something. And this is a right that every citizen is afforded. Mr. Date is considered innocent. If you are charged today with any offense, you would be declared from the time of your arrest right up until the day when your guilt or innocence is pronounced, you are considered not to have committed any offense. Merely because the police charged you. I had a young man who was just 2 weeks ago charged with rape. And all of the evidence, pointed to his rape, to the fact that he did not obtain consent. I even went to the young man to say to him, listen, I just opened your case file. And just as a courtesy to you, from what I have seen, we've not spoken yet, but from what I have seen, young man, it's in your best interest to plead guilty. He looked at me and said, what did I say? I showed it to him.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, well, who are you? Where do you come from?
Right.
And when I told him who I was, he said, it's you. Come defend me.
Uh-huh.
And we did. So it's useful to remember in a democratic society that the person who is accused must prove nothing. They have nothing to prove. It is the state who brings that person before it that has the duty to prove this person's guilt. That's the system we operate under. And it's been working fine for several hundred years now.
Well, I don't know how fine it's working, but we'll get back to that. We got a quick call on the line, Jerry. I'm aware that your time constraints, so let's jump to this call real quick. Caller, live. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, good night, Junior.
Hi, caller.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, this is Angela from Barbados.
Barbados, how you doing? How you doing, Barbados?
To it.
How are you?
I am good. I got not so good. I came down with a problem with my hand and and what they said is dengue fever, and there's no way under this way. It's just like chikungunya.
Oh.
In pain, and some days nothing is happening, so I just not bothering at my age. I'm still feeling good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that's
but
good.
I was listening there to the lady about her brother, and it hurt. And you remember I told you that Grenada is like my second home. I visited in 2014, and I fell in love with it.
Right.
But so many people keep calling me and telling me, you said Grenada is a nice place to be. And every day I read in the newspaper, I'm listening on the radio, and they got just as much crime as they want to say it is a part of Jamaica now, especially, St. Andrew people sound like Jamaicans.
Right.
And it had me so confused because it says my wish, I booked 3 times to come over there up to Christmas, and I just cancel it. Something like was telling me, why you don't stay home? And I feel so bad to know that I've made a decision. I want to live there.
No, well, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Grenada is a safe place, and there are sporadic instances of these type of activities, but it is not prevalent. It is not something that's widespread either. Grenada is a very safe place.
Okay.
And I am in Grenada all the time, right? And Jerry is there all the time as well.
Yeah, I do understand.
Yeah. So don't be afraid.
But sometimes when something starts, I agree. Yeah, but when something starts, same thing here. When one idiot do something, you get about 20 idiots following him. And so we got 11 parishes, and there's not a day that something is not going on, and it's something that I never grew up hearing, especially the countryside. You might get it in the city.
Right.
But no, there's no place you could see where they could go and be comfortable, you understand? So one bad apple sometimes spoil the whole thing. But I felt so bad to know that a human being that and we keep saying that the Caribbean, we are Christian society, but what you're seeing now, some places that don't have or know anything about church, sometimes you don't get those things.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that as the guy was a petty lawyer, a person is innocent until proven guilty, and they are entitled to get bail.
Thank you so much.
And I always say that if you do not understand law, you would think that way. And as a person, I haven't practiced yet, but I know it and I worked in it.
Yes.
He should be charged, but he still would have that bail. So we got to let the law do what it has to do. But by law, he is still innocent because he haven't proven guilty by a jury or whatever else.
Absolutely.
But for everything, I might be coming over.
We want to see you.
Between now and April.
Looking forward to see you. Thank you so much, Barbados.
I will. I'll let you know when I get there.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Like to go to the guys in Savannah and watch some horse racing. Jerry, aren't you concerned a bit, right?
Absolutely. When I hear something like this.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I looked at the news from Florida, for example, and I saw that one of my clients is on the run after allegedly committing a horrendous crime in addition to escaping from police custody, then allegedly stealing a boat, killing the owners of the boat.
Well, allegedly. I don't want to get
really
you tied up in court. I don't want to get tied up in court, Jerry. We have to say allegedly because it has not been yet proven in court. I don't want to get you tied up.
As I said, allegedly.
I just want to make sure that you come.
They are alleged to have committed a horrendous crime.
Yes.
And it is now in the news that they were facing other offenses when they escaped. I had represented 3 defendants, including the one that is alleged to have committed the murder, the boat owners, in a rape and robbery violence matter. Listen, the lady from Barbados has it right, at least in one respect. That there's an issue we call recidivism.
Yes.
Recidivism means that it's the same person committing one crime after the next, after the next, after the next. So it looks like the entire place is overrun with criminals. That's not the case, certainly not in Grenada's case. There are some issues in this particular case. I'm not speaking of dates. I'm talking about the one you just put up with the young man who stole the boat.
Ron and this young man.
Yes. It's there are some issues there. And really of concern. So we have 7, 8, let me count it, 9 offenses.
Yes.
Committed by the same 3 young men.
Yes.
I'm not including the murder. Right? I'm not including all the escape from.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
9 offenses. So it's really sad, and we are hoping that once the Vincentian authorities determine jurisdiction, that these young men can be returned to Grenada quickly, so that justice can move and we can deal with this issue of these young men, so as to close the book on any thinking that somehow Grenada is some lawless. I can tell you that is not the case. Friday I have I think 5 sentences, and everyone will get a long-term tenancy at Richmond Hill Prison. So yes. So we are not lax. Justice is not asleep here in Grenada. Yes.
I want to play back this clip, right? Because I get what you're saying. Some people would look at you as not necessarily a part of the solution, but defense attorneys are sometimes considered a part of the problem. It's a quick look. Stand by.
Barbosa, who was 27 years old at the time of the offense, was arrested and charged along with Francis, a 28-year-old fisherman, for the offense of robbery with violence in connection with the December 22nd, 2022 robbery at Grand Mall gas station. Francis was also charged with assault with a dangerous weapon, a gun. According to reports at the time, the police were notified of a robbery at the gas station at around 6:15 p.m. on December 22nd, when 2 masked individuals entered the gas station and demanded money from a member of staff before escaping in a vehicle. Both men are represented by attorney Jerry Edwin.
Mr. Barbosa is a native of Tobago, and Mr. Francis is a young man from Grand Roy. We have negotiated with the prosecutor to lower the charge from robbery with violence to simple robbery and abetting.
All right, let's stop that right there, Mr. Edwin. Right? So you negotiated a situation as horrible as that, robbery, charged with robbery. This one came from Trinidad, came into Grenada, and you're defending that, and you're asking the judge to lower the sentencing for this young man. If this young man were to, say, come out from jail and stay in your neck of the woods, your backyard, like be your neighbor, would you give the same energy to have the sentence lowered so they could move back into the neighborhood?
I don't think that's the right question. The
Well,
question is, how does the criminal justice system operate? How does it? That's why I always invite people to come to the courthouse, and I've been asking that more people come and understand. In the United States, I'm familiar with the states of California and New York, because I've lived mostly in New York and in California, and in most jurisdictions. In fact, in New York and in California, unlike Grenada, plea bargaining, because that's what your clip is about.
right.
Plea bargaining is the law. It is the law. Now, the state, the prosecution, if they were to try every single case, well, we wouldn't be calling it backlog, we'll be calling it perhaps ancient log. For years, we would have to go through these cases. And you know what the public would say? Why is the system so slow? Why is justice taking so long? How come we cannot resolve these cases? So the law, the administrators of justice, certainly in the jurisdictions I mentioned in the United States, the states of New York and the state of California, and in the federal system as well, have put in plea bargaining as mandatory.
Right.
Number one, to achieve justice. To achieve what? This is not for the convenience of the persons who are accused. It is for the public to see that justice is done. Yes, so murder. We had a recent case last week where a young man was charged with murder. And when you look at the facts, you realize this is not murder, this is manslaughter.
Right.
So he pled guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced. Yes? In a case where the clip you are playing, a man is charged with robbery with violence, but the evidence shows that he was merely driving the motor vehicle. So he confesses to aiding and abetting the robbery. Didn't we achieve justice? Because certainly that's what the facts show. Yeah? So it's not so much a question of me as an individual, because me as an individual, if somebody crosses my threshold at night, I'm likely to do something that would end me up before the the judges, right? I probably might take justice into my own hands. But that's me, the individual. I'm speaking here as a member of the bar, of the profession that we serve. And so it is not so much how I would react, but whether or not justice is achieved in these cases. And I think a person who is charged according to the facts and confesses according to the facts, the public has achieved justice. And that's what we've had in this case. Yeah, you see, an indictment, which is the charging instrument, always has to respond to the facts of the investigation by the police. And I go back to the previous case with manslaughter and murder. The police initially charged another young man with murder in that case, the murder case. That was a case in Belmont.
Right.
And we had the case against the young man thrown out. An entire murder case, gone. Because we were able to interrogate the facts with the director. And they too agreed, in spite of the charging instrument, the indictment. In spite of that, we were able to achieve justice because the facts did not show this young man being culpable at all. Right? So it's not my individual perspective. Rather, it is whether or not we can achieve justice for the major stakeholder in these cases, the public. And I think we can. I think we can. And the prosecutor agrees with me, by the way. So it's not just my position. Again, plea bargaining is the law in New York and in California. Here in Grenada, we've just started to put it in place so that we could achieve these ends of achieving justice for the public.
In cases of sexual assault, Jerry, right? Because we had situations where someone would be involved in some sexual assault, some horrific sexual assault. In one case, in this particular case, and in other cases, we have gang rape. We have, brutal offense while committing sexual offense. So this lady got knocked over the head with a hammer, right?
Yes.
Right? Sad situation. But then
Yes.
the defense attorney would go into court and plea for that person to have bail, to be put out on bail. Now, this person get put out on bail, and then the victim have to walk past this person every single day, right? Isn't there something wrong with the system when you have gruesome sexual assault and the victim have to be re-victimized every single time because that person is back out on bail, sometimes even taunting them, walking past them? Isn't something wrong with the system when we have when that is the reality of justice?
I do not know of any instance similar to what you have mentioned here in Grenada, and in fact, I do not know it happening in any jurisdiction. Let me explain using your example. Person is accused of committing horrible crime. I said to a jury last week in that same case where we got the acquittal, I told the jury, I asked rhetorically, what is the most horrible offense that you can think about on the books? And immediately all of us would say what? Murder, taking a life, right?
I say rape.
We would say that's the most horrible crime. Taking a person's life. They can't come back to life. Well, I argue that I think rape is the most horrible crime that you could think of. For one thing, the victim lives with it their entire life.
Absolutely.
For another thing, if you compare it with taking a life, there are many instances, in which taking a life is justified. It may be in self-defense. You may
Right.
be protecting a member of the public.
Yes.
Right? So many reasons. There is no circumstance under which unconsented sex, rape, is ever justified. Never. None. That's why we call it a war crime in some instances. That's why soldiers in war terrorize people that they conquer using rape.
Right.
No, I do not know of any instance in which a person who is placed on bail is allowed within 100 feet of a victim or can communicate to a victim or can live in the vicinity of a victim without being in violation of their bail condition. Doesn't happen. Only happens on television, right? Or in people's minds. There is never a case in which a judicial officer, magistrate, or high court judge would ever allow a victim, not Justice Guilford, Justice Innocent, Magistrate Gill, Magistrate Paul, Morass, our Chief Magistrate Foster, none of them would ever tolerate. In fact, if a person is given bail in a sexual offense and that victim comes to court and whispers that they are intimidated by the accused person, they're going straight to Richmond Hill Prison.
Right.
Right? There is an extreme sensitivity toward victims of sexual offenses. I had a young man, he went to live, the offense happened in Pearls. He went to live in Woburn, if you're in Grenada. I'm sorry, in Grand Anse Valley. You see, that's from one end of Grenada to the next.
Right.
And then the victim came and lived right next door to him. And he then moved back to Sauters because he knew that he could not have contact, any contact. And that if this victim ever said to the judicial officer, look, that man is living next door to me, or he looked at me, or he gave me a bad eye, his bail will be escheated. That's the word we use when we say bail is forfeited.
Right.
Bail is escheated, and that person goes right back to Richmond Hill and awaits their fate at a trial. So it's I know it's popular belief that alleged perpetrators of rape can now wreak havoc on the lives of the person who was allegedly traumatized. I think we ought to put stricter processes in place in the court. For example, we should not allow lawyers to question children. I've always maintained that. It's something that many of my colleagues do not agree with. I think a judge, a social worker, a court reporter can elicit truthful and accurate information from a child victim instead of the intimidation of a lawyer standing in front of a 9-year-old,
Right.
asking that 9-year-old to repeat the trauma, right? And sadly, that's the practice in many of our jurisdictions. We haven't, shall I say, matured to that point, but I hope we will get there, and I'm advocating for this kind of procedure to be put in place.
Right. No,
Does not mean I will not, let me say, does
Yes.
not mean I will not vigorously defend the client, but I think in the process of fact finding, it's not necessary to actually put a victim, I like your words, to a second round of torture standing in the courthouse.
Yeah, and I heard of cases, a particular case involving a young child, where the same happened, where the young child, she was accused, the older gentleman was accused of raping that young child, and it was just spinning in court for this whole period of time. And oftentimes the mother would be taking the young child to school, and she would see the man, and she would tell her mom, why is he not in jail? And he did that to me. So I've heard of situations before where that happened. Whether it's one of the few, but it did happen from what the story that was told here on the ride. But in terms of procedural, Jerry, sorry, what you were saying?
No, I would agree with you that we have these aberrations, but it certainly is not the norm. But yes,
Right.
It's known to have happened. Yeah.
Okay, talking about the norm, right? We have a situation here involving the same 3 prisoners. This was a question that was asked during the last press conference. Now, these 3 prisoners was housed in the same cell at the same time, right? Is that procedural, or is that a flaw? Is that a mistake to have these 3 criminals that involved in the same crime housed in the same holding cell at the same time?
Remember, the matter has gone past the investigative stage, yes? It has
Right.
gone past the investigation. They are now on remand awaiting the process of the court. Maybe it's the resources at the prison. Remember, the prison was actually only at Richmond Hill, was only designed to hold, I think, 170, 150, 175 people. There are upwards of 300 people now.
Right.
So it's a question. It's a question of resources. Look, we don't even have sufficient mattresses. You know, it's a resource challenge. To answer you directly and honestly, I think that the stage at which the case had gone was past investigation. they have been charged. We know what the facts are, what the investigative results are. The fact that they were together in the same cell. Let me say, the remand block is not the Hilton Hotel. There are so many other inmates in that same holding area. So it's not like they were in a cell by themselves.
But then
The holding area is an open holding area.
that's what I don't understand, Jerry, right? And that was a question that was posed. Now, if they were in a holding cell with other prisoners, a whole lot of other prisoners, how were these 3 prisoners involved in the same crime were able to concoct some kind of getaway strategy, and only 3 of them got away, and there were other prisoners there?
No, remember, no, I'm not trying. We're talking now about, are you talking about the remand block, or are you talking about the holding cell in the South St. George, the police station?
The holding cell at the police station.
Oh,
the
holding cell at the police station is really just one, it's only one holding cell.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Is it customary to have these 3 inmates there that's associated with the same crime in the same holding cell at the same time?
Oh yes, that's right. It's one cell. It's one holding area in the South St. George police station. Anyone who is arrested or detained and they come in, they're in that single holding cell. Most of the police stations in Grenada have one holding area. And if it's a new arrest, for example, you'll see that they might, as we have in the latest incident, you might see that if it happens in Sauteurs, they may hold them in Victoria and in Guave because the facilities are not enough, if are not large enough. For example, if there are like 5 defendants, they might determine, well, let's put them in different stations because the facilities are such that you can only house so many inmates at the police station.
So it's quite
different from.
It's quite normal to have them housed in the same holding cell at the same time.
Oh yes, at the police stations. Oh yes, that's quite normal.
Okay.
Quite normal.
Okay, quite normal. Okay, all right. Thanks for the clarification. And based on you,
Yes.
I'm sure you've been in that holding cell in South St. George. Based on what you've seen thus far.
You mean as a detainee or as a lawyer? Tongue in cheek. Yeah, you just put me in the cell, Julian. A lot of people think I deserve to be in this. People might think I deserve to be.
Don't act like if you're innocent, because I know you have your running. You have a whole story to tell, so stop it right there. But based on what you've seen, do you think that the holding cell is suitable, or is not probably suitable is not the right word? Do you see how a prisoner or prisoners could escape that holding cell? Do you think that there are some problems, some issues with that holding cell?
I would not know that. I would not know that. But I'll tell you that the police stations themselves are woefully under-resourced. I think the biggest problem is the fact that police officers who are on duty at these stations, if you see the conditions under which these lawmen have to reside, you wonder how they can get up and go to work the next day, much less the conditions of the persons who are in the holding cells, right? So there are a lot of issues but you know, the criminal justice system, Junior, the administration of justice, we're almost like a stepchild of the budgetary process, because let's keep it real. This is about allocating resources for better security, better housing, better jails, and so on and so on. But always, when it comes to policemen, the facilities where these men live, somehow someone thinks that we need funding, or that we need to concentrate on tourism, or maybe agriculture, or maybe healthcare. And falling way down to the bottom is the issue of securing people at police stations, conditions of police, where they reside while on duty, the quality of the registry, the quality of the staff, the way books are kept in. So administration of justice and the legal system falls all the way down. And you would see the kind of results we have now. For me, this is a wake-up call, not for the inmates who have escaped custody, but for the facilities they are kept in and the allocation of resources. It really does expose it. Look, we see it in Soteres. Levon Date easily was able to get out of custody of police. But that's not isolated because we see it in Grand Anse,
Right.
where these 3 men were able to escape. By the way, we see it in St. George's recently, where someone was able to escape from these facilities.
Well,
What is
I remember there was a situation where, and now that you jog my memory on that, we saw it when there was some evidence, some weed that was at a police station, and then they stole the weed, they dipped inside. There was a hole, and they stole the evidence.
Correct.
So, and that happened a few years ago. So craziness happens inside the police station. So you're right, Jerry. Hold on, let's take a quick call, Jerry. And Jerry, I thank you. You give me a little bit more time than you told me you would. I appreciate it. But we got a call. Call your line. Where you calling us from?
Yeah, Junior.
Hey.
Yeah, hello, yeah, Mr. Eli Gilbert, yeah. Good afternoon, Jerry. I just have a question for him.
Yes.
And I've been around with the question. The 3 prisoners in St. Vincent, I heard they give a statement, and I don't know how true it is. I heard that they admit to the crime of the killing of them white people. I heard so. I don't know how true it is. I just want to know if that same evidence, if they brought them back to Grenada, if the statement from St. Vincent, they could use that in Grenada. Because sometimes they say one in St. Vincent, and when they go back home, they could say they don't know about, the bodies, and you understand. But so I want to know if the evidence from St. Vincent, if it could use in the courtroom in Grenada. And before I leave, Junior, I want to say that for your plan.
Yes.
I'm very, 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 very upset. When I tell you upset, I'm upset. That situation making us look bad. 2 weeks ago, I was on stage jumping up, telling people that, we could sleep with our windows open and don't worry about nothing. I know things could happen, and it does happen in every country, but I'm feeling bad. And to look at the news all around the world, that's that's I don't know. And then I just wonder how people are staying, because you escape from prison home. You hide in Grenada for a couple days and enjoy the river or enjoy the place. You take a boat and you end up in a next man country, and then you put more on your hand, and you're looking stupid. So I don't know, man. These people and them, I don't know what they just think with. So I just want to know if they could use the same evidence they give in St. Vincent in the court in Grenada. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Specky. Yes. Good question. Great question.
Yes, that's a good question. Now, I would think that the law enforcement officers in Grenada, remember what they're facing in St. Vincent. What we've heard is that they are facing a wrongful entry in St. Vincent. And in these jurisdictions, it's 1 to 3 years. If there is a request for extradition to Grenada because it's determined that the murders allegedly occurred in Grenada waters, they'd be extradited to Grenada. And then the lawmen here would question them under oath, under caution, I should say, and they would then make statements or not. But I think if they do not make statements here, then the Grenadian authorities may be able, and there is a legal procedure, to allow the statements that they gave in St. Vincent to be used against them if there were proper cautions and those statements were made voluntarily under the right conditions. But to avoid all that doubt, even when there is extradition to the jurisdiction Grenada where the crime occurred, you will still find that the officers here would go through the same process, because you want to ensure, to the caller, you want to ensure that those statements are not attacked as not being voluntary by people like me. Yes? So it is, it would be, I think the officers would, here in Grenada, should they be extradited, would want to do their own questioning of the inmate, of the prisoners
Right.
who escaped Grenada.
Okay, we did hear from the press conference yesterday that 5 police officers from Grenada went up to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So
Yes.
I'm guessing that it's collaborative in terms of the investigation and stuff.
Yes,
So
yes, of course.
if
Of course.
if they are found guilty, because they are among about 4 different charges in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one of which is entering illegally, entering without valid inspection, and all these other charges that they have in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What happened now? Would St. Vincent and the Grenadines put them in prison there, or would they extradite them back to Grenada immediately?
I think it's reasonable to expect that St. Vincent will defer the major crime to Grenada. Grenada would put in a request for extradition. They would be brought back to Grenada, and the harmless, I say, offense of entering the jurisdiction illegally. And I have a real problem with that.
Right.
That we call ourselves the OECS, freedom of movement, but that one needs some legal document to enter into the other jurisdiction. I really have a problem with that.
Well,
nonetheless,
why have a problem with that? They enter it illegally without inspection. Even if the
except we have a regime. Except we have a regime. You know, you could actually enter into any one of the OECS islands.
Yes.
With a driver's license.
Right.
Yeah?
But you have to get
inspected. With a driver's license.
But you have to get inspected. Yes. You have to get inspected by immigration officer.
Well, I don't know that, because if I come from St. Vincent and I come through Union Island, the first stop I make in Grenada would be what? Petit Martinique, right?
Right.
There's no immigration officer at Petit Martinique. From Petit Martinique, I get to Caracou on a little boat or ferry. There is no officer in Caracou to inspect me.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There is immigration officers in Caracou, right in Hillsborough. It's right there.
I can take a boat from Petit Martinique.
Yes.
I end up in Caracou.
Right.
In Harvey Vale.
Yes.
Because, you know, Hillsborough is pretty much closer. In Harvey Vale.
Yes.
And I walk ashore and go do what I have to do.
Right. But then you will be entering the state illegally without inspection. I think that
there is a regime.
The law states, the law basically says that if you're entering a CARICOM territory or OECS territory, you could enter, but you have to be inspected. If you're not inspected, you are entering illegally. I don't think that is difficult.
I'm talking about the sub-region now.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about CARICOM. I'm just talking about the OECS now, the sub-region.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
There should be free movement. I mean, that's my own view.
Right.
I'm just giving you my view.
Okay.
Right? I believe there should be free, unfettered, for purposes, of course, right?
Right.
To travel back and forth between these islands. I really don't, because it's a rubber stamp, Mr. George.
Uh-huh.
You come in, or you're from St. Vincent, rubber stamp you. Nobody keeps a record. When you come to the magistrate's court, for example, and you say, I am a resident of St. Vincent, but I'm in Grenada, for some reason, let's say it's alleged that I broke the law in Grenada. The first thing the magistrate asks is, well, you're from St. Vincent, aren't you? Yes, and I say, well, look at my stamp. I entered legally. I'm not inspected. I am stamped. It's a rubber stamp. They don't ask me any question. They don't ask where you're going to stay, who you're living with. Can I get a contact number? It's a rubber stamp, right? But that's just my own view.
No, I
But to
understand.
answer your question, yeah, but just let me. What I'm saying is that I believe the authorities in St. Vincent would defer the more major offense to Grenada, so that we could deal with this really horrible allegation. If it is true, it's really a horrible offense. Really a horrible offense, and I think that the posture of the state of Grenada now is to have justice be meted out swiftly but
Yes.
safely according to law. But we need to bring this matter to effective closure and not have the usual delays that we have in the system. And I know that a number of us are really trying to see what we could do to assist the system in getting this case moved through the system quickly.
Right. Jerry, I thank you so much. I know you give me a little bit more than you said that you will, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Very last thing, Jerry, recommendations to the authorities, because you said earlier, if not anything else, it's a referendum on the horrible condition at the holding cell and the police stations. What are some of the recommendations from a lawyer perspective or from a civilian perspective so that we don't have another episode of this, especially where you have prisoners that are escaping lawful custody and now on the loose, like your client is? What recommendation could you give to prevent stuff like that from happening?
Why you say it like that? Like my client?
It's your
say it
client,
like that?
Jerry. It's your client. It's your client. It's not my client. It's your client. It's your guy. It's your friend. Dude, if I can show his picture, that's him. You know him very well. That's him. Look at him. He's somewhere. He's a fugitive. Your guy. But that's besides the point. So, Jerry.
I hope he's safe and good sense could prevail, because it really is not the way to treat with these kind of things. Yeah, there's so much that. I mean, clearly there needs to be an audit that's conducted by the national. I think it's called National Security. I think right now there's actually a National Security Council, and I know that they met. The Prime Minister is the head of that and chairman of that council. The police commissioner is also a member of that council.
Right.
I think they need to audit these stations. But I mean, the thing is, the hierarchy of the RGPF does not even, in my view, care about the conditions under which their own officers serve.
Right.
So I think it may take some doing. Hopefully, the will is there to look at the security measures at the stations to ensure this does not happen again. The layout, Mr. George, the
Yes.
layout of the station is highly suspect.
Yes.
There is an exit right next to the holding cells. An exit.
Sad.
Yeah. So it's so they need to audit this and see what could be done and to allocate the right number of officers. Again, this is a wake-up call for the administration and allocation of resources within these police stations by the Ministry of National Security. They say stuff flows from the top down. So it's not really about how the particular or individual station house conducted its business. It's the way in which security is handled from top down to the bottom. Hopefully they would listen. I'm not, it's really, I don't want it to be my place to recommend to the RGPF what they should do. I think, though, that the first step that should be taken is an audit of the security measures and see what gaps there are, if any, and how they could address it And I'm sure that the bar president, Mr. Francis Paul, would be willing to sit down and engage the RGPF and see how, as lawyers, we can assist them
Right.
in ensuring that officers and security people have the best means available to secure prisoners or detainees whenever they come. But just to end by saying Mr. Date is my client, and
Talk
I
to
would
him.
hope.
Talk to your guy, Jerry. Talk
And
to
I
your.
would
His
hope.
picture is on the screen.
and
Talk.
you say talk to him.
Talk to your guy.
Yes. Well, we really hope that Mr. Date would turn himself in, and we don't want him to be a fugitive from justice. We believe that justice will be on his side, rather than making himself now an object of concern to public safety. That is the worst thing that we want for anyone we represent.
Someone just sent me a little message there, Jerry, and they said, tongue in cheeks, but they said it anyway. I'll drop it on you. They said that's he escaping justice is probably a referendum on Jerry, because he didn't think that he would have actually won the case, so he just decided to run. Tongue in cheeks. Jerry, you don't need to respond to that. Don't respond to that. I'll catch you again, my brother.
No, don't worry. Lawyers had better have crocodile skin, you know.
You better.
But there probably is a joke in there as well about lawyers. But we better have thick skin in this business.
But on a serious note, Jerry, we hope that
Yes, sir.
Mr. Date come to some common sense and decide to turn himself in, and
I hope so.
and let justice prevail. If he's innocent, I'm sure you'll be able to prove that
Of course.
to the
Of
jury.
course.
Good luck.
Of course.
You have a hard job
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr. And good night to your audience, to your listeners, wherever they are. Good night,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you, Mr. Coach.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. All right.
Jerry Edwin, yes. Hard task ahead is what I call it. But Jerry's up to the task. He's up to the task. He likes to fight. He's a fighter, as you could well see. Guys, let's take a quick commercial break, and I got some closing words when we get back.
Special privilege of sampling the Golden Jubilee edition of the limited edition spice rum from the Grenada distillers, and I must say it's something that you should try. It is authentically Grenadian, but from the flavors to the aromas to the overall taste, the blend is great. It's light, it's golden like the Golden Jubilee, and I think you can make any collector's shelves anywhere in the world. Hats off to the Grenada distillers.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Ridealong Live is brought to you with the kind compliments of Ride, Excursions, and Tours. Guys, listen. Are you in a position, sometimes you're in Grand Anse, right? So you're in Grand Anse, and here's what's happening. You need to get to Melville Street, but the traffic is so bad. The traffic is so bad. You feel like if you could get out and walk from Grand Anse to Melville Street, you'll get there faster than driving, right? Because it's so bad. You understand what I'm talking about. Traffic is bad. I got a solution for you. Ride, Excursions, and Tours, guys. It's not only riding through the terrains, guys. Ride, Excursions, and Tours provide an easy and accessible way to get through the city on e-bikes. Yeah. On these e-bikes, guys, you could get through the city, and you want to know the best thing of it? The best thing about it, guys, it's only 99 EC per day. It's like 37. You could basically get that e-bike to get from one point to the next for as little as 30 EC dollars an hour. So, what are you waiting for? If you want to get around and you hate the traffic and you know there's so many cars, you want to get around, rent an e-bike tomorrow, beat through the traffic, guys. Not only for tourists, everyone could do it. You could get a bike in the Esplanade Mall and drop it off at your favorite hotel, and we'll get it for you. No problem. And we are partnered with many other hotels to ensure that you could get around. Get around. Nice and safe. Get an e-bike rental from Ride right now. Check us out in the Esplanade Mall. I was showing you guys earlier, while you're in the Esplanade Mall and you're renting an e-bike, we just launched some new merchandise product. It's all Ride products, guys. It's all Ride products. You see the brand Ride? Put it closer. Camera, zoom. Right, there you go. You see? All Ride product. These are visors. But it's not just visors. These are enhanced visors. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful. It comes in all the colors. And you're representing for Grenada. Now, these visors for intercall, guys. Catch this. Check this. We have these visors representing your schools for intercall. So if you're in SAS, GBSS, you're in SJCSS, whatever school you're in, you could get the visors to represent your school, your team. And of course, you see when you're in Carifta, because Carifta coming to Grenada as well, right? You want to represent for Team Grenada. I know this thing ain't gonna look good on me, eh? Lord, watch thing, only watch thing. You red match with me. You red match with me thing. Yeah. Get the visor! It's available inside of the Esplanade Mall, guys. It just acts for the Ride brand. Listen, this is the real deal, eh? This is the name brand thing, eh? This ain't no pion thing, pion thing we're talking about, This is a real deal. Real deal. Get it. When you get it, make sure you look in the back and make sure it has the Ride logo on it, eh? If you don't have the Ride logo on it, it's a bootleg. Get the real thing, right? Get the real thing, represent for Grenada. See that? Get it right now, inside of the Esplanade Mall. Ride! Let's take you there.
You ready for an exhilarating adventure? Then look no further than Ride Excursions and Tours. Get ready to explore the great outdoors like never before with our powerful e-bikes. Discover breathtaking sightseeing tours around the island. Feel the wind in your hair and experience nature in its purest form. Now, whether you're a seasoned rider or a beginner, our e-bikes are perfect for everyone. Call us at 473-422-1011 to book your excursion or visit ridersebikes.com. That's ridersebike.com to reserve your spot. Unleash your adventurous spirit with Ride Excursions and Tours, where every journey becomes an unforgettable adventure.
Hey, yeah, guys. Don't forget you can get your e-bikes, rental, excursions, and tours. And this week, we are heading to where? Oh, you know where we're heading this week? Where we're riding this week? Oh, they want to know where we're riding this week? Carriacou. Ride Carriacou, yes. Yes, Carriacou. We're heading to Carriacou, guys. So book right now for Carriacou excursion. Yeah, man. Also, don't forget, guys, if you have a business and you want to advertise, you want to send your business viral, advertise with us.
Advertise with us and reach millions daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, over 10 million per month. It pays to advertise with us. Reach more and let us send your business viral. Advertise with us and reach more.
All right. All right. So, guys, here's what I'm saying. Right? Here's what I'm saying. I have a problem, and this, let me take up this thing off the screen. This is pissing me off. This is really pissing me off. Now, this situation that's happening, I spoke about it yesterday, right? Where there is an increase, we could see it, in gun-related incidents. This is an epidemic that is affecting the region. St. Lucia had a situation in Vieux Fort. Sadly, a few people lost their lives. We had a situation in St. Vincent. It's just like the region, and it's because of that. Listen, the drug come from the United States, and they need to do better. I mean, the guns come from the United States. The transatlantic shipment of drugs and guns are just coming in. That is the circle right there, right? And it's very prevalent. It's very prevalent. Now, this situation would have happened or would happen no matter who is the administration. One, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, he's been there for how many years? And this is happening now. This situation is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There is an increase in crime. St. Lucia, well, St. Lucia just had a new prime minister. But what I'm saying, guys, no matter who or what administration is there, this is what's happening now. So I hate to see when people playing that politics, guys, right? I think if anyone they have something to contribute to fixing the problem, instead of trying to score political points or political mileage, come together and do something to help the situation, right? Help the situation. Some of them people who are talking and are making all this noise all over the place, guys, they don't as much as sign up to be a volunteer firefighter. None. So stop playing the politics, guys. Stop playing the politics. We have a problem in the region, and we need people to put their heads together. Police officers, retired police officers may need to come back in for a little bit to help deal with the situation. Right? There are some police officers that that's their thing. Because I believe that, although we support the RGPF and we are behind the RGPF, they're limited on manpower and resources and all of these things. So what we're saying is probably we need to have a resurgence of retired police officers who understand, who dealt with the situation before, to come in and shake up the thing. Probably that one needs to happen. And if someone has some expertise in some kind of area, instead of sitting on a platform and yapping and talking about this stuff from far away, actually register to do something to help the problem. But instead, everyone trying to score cheap political points. Right? This is not the time for that. This is the time to find results to fix the problem that is prevalent throughout the region. Bahamas. I mean, listen, this crime thing is a problem. It's a problem now. Right? No. At the same time, the administration cannot just sit by. The Minister of National Security and those advisors and people who are in the position right now, they cannot just sit idly by and don't say nothing. They have to take some serious position, serious stance right now. Because you have to show the criminals or the alleged criminals or those who are involved in gang-related activities, whether it be counseling or whether it be whatever it is, there is a problem. And we have to put our foot down hard. To the family, to the parents, the sisters, the brothers, the family members of these young men who, I don't know. Listen, I believe when I walk through Grenada, right, and I go, whether I go by in Granans or whether I go in Carnage or wherever, I get a good reception from everybody, right? I was in the market the other day, and there was some young men that was there, And the young men came up and they embraced me and they give me a bounce and blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying that those young men are into anything, right? But in Four Roads, I would walk up there and they embraced me, right? They embraced me. So I would just like to understand, what is the turf battle, the turf war all about? I would really like to have a conversation because this place is so small. The people in Grand Anse and the people in Carnage, they're family. They are like cousins, right? We need to really understand and probably having a real civil conversation. And I don't know if it's too far for that, to get to that, but understanding what the problem is. How did we get to this point? So they probably need to set up some sort of truce counseling. I don't know. And the people who may have the expertise to do that are probably ex-police officers that have these expertise. We need them back because we need to take back Grenada, the future of this beautiful country, the future of this beautiful region, out of the hands of illegal firearm, endangering the lives of my children, your cousins, your mother, your sister. Because when somebody pick up a firearm and they start to fire, that firearm don't have no eye to say you go miss this one and you go hit this one. No. It might be your father that walking happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and he gets shot. So we need to think about all of these things, guys. This place is too small to have this kind of rivalry. And I'm calling on everyone involved, guys. This needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. And a conversation is not going to do it. Diplomacy probably not going to do it. But you probably need to start there, where we need to understand the real core, the real problem, and take it from there. Force may not be necessarily the answer to the question. But there are people who have the expertise in fixing or being a part of these things that could really help, right? So, guys, instead of trying to score cheap political points, take your expertise and see how you can help this place move forward. And that's what I got to say. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program here on Ride Along Live. We appreciate you. Tomorrow we have a big show. Big show. I'll tell you guys who we have on the program tomorrow. Later. But tomorrow's a big show. All right? It's going to be a big one. Guys, don't forget, if you want to advertise on Ride Along Live, please give us a call. 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. We want to send your business viral. And don't forget, guys, if you want to rent one of our e-bikes or be a part of our excursion, please check us out in the Esplanade Mall and rent your e-bikes. Also, guys, I got to tell you about this. If you're flying to Grenada, JetBlue have some remarkable rates, guys. Remarkable rates with two flights per day from JFK to Maurice Bishop International Airport. And of course, if you're in Boston, you could fly JetBlue on a Saturday. Let me tell you. Fly JetBlue. Go to jetblue.com.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.